What's up, Pokemon players? And here, and today is going to be a very awesome deck profile. Now, today's profile is going to be another Mega Gardevoir deck. I know I've done a lot of Mega Gardevoir decks in the past, but there's some things separating this one from the rest. First of all, I took this one to a recent locals and actually went completely undefeated in it, which was amazing, especially considering how overlooked Mega BROSKI is. And also, the Pokemon lineup is very interesting as well, which I'm gonna leave that as a surprise until I get into it. So without delay, gonna go right into it. First off here, what would this deck be without 3 copies of the BROSKI himself? Just look at the testosterone flowing through this art. The ribbons, jewels, and sparkles of manlyhood. If you go up to the street and you want to just laugh at this dude for wearing a dress, oh, I pity you. He will create black holes, kick your butt in front of everybody, and just stomp you into the hole. Not even throw you in, like he'll just keep kicking you and just stomp you in that black hole. Do not make fun of this dude for wearing a dress. He wears dresses because he is confident. He wears them because he is comfortable and secure with himself. Yeah! But no, yeah, I love the Generations artwork of Gardevoir, and even though we are getting another Gardevoir EX come Steam Siege, I'm just going to still keep using this version of it with Life Leap and Shining Wind, just due to the fact that even though the attacks on the new one are pretty good, this one only requires 1 energy to attack and it can heal, so honestly, if in a dire situation, you could still heal a little bit while dealing some damage, so that's just my reason for that. And next up, going to be 3 copies of Mega BROSKI EX. Now, guys, he's been going through some tough times lately. Work has just been really awful for him, and he wanted to buy himself even more fancy dresses to feel even prettier. So, if you guys still want to make fun of the BROSKI after this, Brilliant Arrow is going to have something to say to you, and I can promise you it's not going to be nice. For those of you who don't know what Brilliant Arrow does, for a fairy and 2 colorless energy, does 30 times the amount of fairy energy you have in play, which adds up very quickly. Now, when this was first released in Primal Clash, everyone thought Mega Gardevoir was going to be an amazing deck, which a lot of people did play it at first, and it's incredibly powerful, but the only problem with it was that it was pretty slow and it just got outsped by a lot of decks. But the way I have come up with this deck, I feel like I have fixed that problem and will definitely be a strong contender in the next format to come. So, 3 copies of that. Oh, and I should probably mention quickly that with the new set Steam Siege, I am trying to see if I can tech in a just take out one of the regular Brilliant Arrow Gardevoirs and just tech in the new Mega Gardevoir with Despair Ray, because I just think it's a really good tech in the deck and it can help it out a lot, make it a lot more aggressive and stuff. But honestly, only time will tell once we get the set out and I can do some proper testing. So, put that to the side. Next up, going to run 4 copies of Xerneas. Now, as we all know, the rotation is happening. It's going to be, we're getting all the way up to Phantom Forces removed, and this card has not been reprinted after Phantom Forces, but luckily, we're getting this card in Steam Siege, so it's going to stay in the format anyway. I run 4 copies of this card just because I always want to see it out in my active. Mainly for the attack Geomancy, where you pick 2 of your bench Pokemon and you attach a fairy energy onto each one of those. Probably the best way fairy has to accelerate its energy, which Gardevoir, that's what it's all about, getting energy quick and dealing all that damage. And also, Rainbow Spear is not bad either. I mean, it's not the greatest attack out there, but not only is it good for one-shotting things like Giratina or any other dragons that are weak to it, it's a non-EX attacker that can get through the safeguards and Regice we have. But once we get Xerneas Break, which I'm going to try to tech in one of these in here, it'll be a much more powerful attacker, along with support for Geomancy. Alright, next up, I run 2 copies of TheMetaDeck. Now, what deck is complete without the meta, guys? And go figure, we did not lose probably one of the most broken cards we have gotten in this whole XY format, so yep, just 2 copies of Shaman, bench it, draw until you have 6, and just overall and staple in just about every deck out there. Also, I play 1 copy of Hoopa EX. Now, This deck was a little bit cloggy when I first tried Hoopa, but after some adjustments, I did find a way to put Hoopa in here. And it works pretty well because I'll show you guys a little combo that I really like to do that works very well. I start off with a Xerneas, and say the Xerneas is the only Pokemon I have to start with. I use an Ultra Ball, get out a Hoopa, bench Hoopa, and here's what I usually go for. I go for Gardevoir, Shaman, and another Gardevoir. I put those to my hand. I benched it to Gardevoir. I do whatever else I'm gonna do with my hand, whether it be attach energy, attach the Spirit Link, any other trainers or items I have in my hand, whatever. And then I just go for the Shaman and draw until I have 6 in my hand. So I find that being a very, very good little combo I like to do. And I get it off pretty often, so definitely a good little combo there. And hey guys, you wanna know the surprise I did for my Pokemon lineup? That's it. What's missing in this per se? Could it be AROMATISSE? That is right. I run absolutely 0 AROMATISSE in this deck. And honestly, it is because after all the support we've gotten from previous sets, even though we're losing AROMATISSE, it doesn't matter because AROMATISSE, guys, I'm telling you, is completely obsolete now. Because here's how it went down. I actually thought of this idea a little while back, but I pitched it to my friend Kane, who's a friend of mine that goes to our league, who really likes the Mega Gardevoir decks. I pitched it to him because I thought of it was just as a crazy idea at most. But yeah, he went on to be the first one to test it. He actually tested this idea before I did. And one of the most recent locals we've been to, the one before the last one, which I was undefeated with this, I actually faced against him and he was trying out this idea. Guys, I got my butt kicked because I was surprised at how fast and effective the deck was without AROMATISSE. So that's what made me really want to just build it for myself, make my own adjustments, and yeah. So yeah, even though I came up with this first, my friend Kane was the first one to test it out, so I do gotta give him credit for that one. No, but yeah, AROMATISSE completely obsolete now. Trust me on this. Even Professor K, if he was here, could vouch for me on this one. So, yeah, fun little fact, no AROMATISSE in this deck. Alrighty, now I'm gonna go into our supporter lineup. Now, for this one, I don't have too many supporters. Just 3 copies of Professor Sycamore and 3 copies of N. Now, I know in a lot of decks, I run 4 copies of Professor Sycamore, but Mega Gardevoir is just one of those decks to where discarding really will not benefit you at all, because you want everything either on the field, sometimes in your hand, or in the deck. You don't really want too many things in your discard pile. But yeah, I never really found this as an issue because I run a lot of ways to get out my supporters. So running a 3-3 has never once been an issue for me. If you guys feel more comfortable with a 4 Sycamore in the deck, I will say nothing against it whatsoever, just because Sycamore is a great card for consistency. So and those to the side. And also I run 1 copy of Lysander just for obvious reasons. Get out one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and bring it to the active. And with that, I'm done with the supporter lineup. Not too much for supporters, but I am going to be changing that a little bit around once Steam Siege comes around and we get the other Mega Gardevoir. Yeah, when that one gets out, not only am I going to be adding a tech of that and a tech of Xerneas Break, but I am going to be changing around some of the other cards I run as well to make it more aggressive. But until then, this is a very, very powerful version that we have to work with. And now, onto our items. As per usual with almost any deck, 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards, get any card you want. Preferably Hoopa to bench and to get 3 more Pokemon EX off the bat. So, you basically use this for Hoopa to get out 3 more EXs. So it's basically an Ultra Ball for 3. Hopefully if Hoopa is impressed. Alright. Now next up is going to be 4 copies of VS Seeker. There's absolutely no working around this whatsoever. Has to be 4 in just about every single deck. 3 is somewhat acceptable, but 4 is definitely the safest and best route to go. And I do realize these are kind of pricey for uncommons, but that's one of the very few things that there really is not much working around. So 4 VS Seeker, just get supporters from the discard to your hand. Amazing. Now, 3 copies of Gardevoir Spirit Link. Obvious reason, just attach it to Gardevoir EX so your turn won't end when you Mega Evolve. Man, that was a really dumb rule in the beginning. Just to begin with, that Mega Evolutions end when they Mega Evolve. Like, your turn ends when you Mega Evolve, I'm sorry. But still, that's not how it works in a video game, so why does it gotta work like that in a card game? I don't know. I don't make the rules, but we got 3 copies of Gardevoir Spirit Link. Now, I'm really kind of disappointed with Spirit Link. Not this one, but like the one we're getting in Steam Siege. They didn't even change the art of it. It's still the exact same one, which was kind of stinkish, but oh well, what can you do? And next up for items, we run 4 copies of Max Elixir. Now, this is one of the things that we got from the recent sets that have just boosted this deck like crazy. You take the top 6 cards of your deck, you look through them, and there's a basic energy there. You attach it to one of your bench basic Pokemon. And that really gets out energy very, very quickly, and I run a good amount of energy in here. So most of the time, you will not miss with Max Elixir. And having 4 copies of it just speeds it up even more, which Mega Gardevoir really, really needed the speed. And Max Elixir definitely provides that speed. Now, here is probably the main part of why I believe AROMATISSE has become obsolete and has proven to work. 3 copies of Fairy Drop. Now, Fairy Drop is probably one of the most recent stuff we've gotten in Fates Collide. To where any Pokemon that has a Fairy Energy, you play it and it heals 50 damage from that Pokemon. Now, before, the main reason for AROMATISSE in Mega Gardevoir was to move all your Fairy Energy away, use Max Potion to heal up all the damage, and then move it back. A good play to keep your Gardevoir alive, but couple things. One, a stage 1. Not the worst, but still took at least a turn or 2 to take place. Not to mention it took up space in your bench. And that's really why I could not run Hoopa in the deck earlier, because I was very cloggy with all the AROMATISSE lineups. 2, it's a pretty easy prize to take. Yeah, almost as easy as Shaman. And also, if they take the AROMATISSE as a prize, it hurts that whole formula really, really bad. But here's the main thing. Yes, it is very good to heal up all the damage, but with everything you have to do, it really wasn't worth it. It just slowed down the deck a lot. Now, Fairy Drop being able to heal 50 damage for anything with a Fairy Energy with no other strings attached is pretty good, because even though it's not everything, it's a good enough amount, and we're talking about a Mega Evolved Pokemon here with pretty good HP to start with. So any amount of healing you're doing on a Mega Evolved Pokemon in the TCG, it's going to take them a lot more to knock out. So yeah, Fairy Drop, basically one of the key components as to why AROMATISSE has become obsolete. And again, there are people who could vouch for me, like the Professor, that could state that Fairy Drop was very, very good in the tournament. Alright, next up, I run 4 copies of Trainer's Mail. Obvious reasons, just want to be able to get out all your trainers as quickly as possible, whether it be your supporters and Sycamore, items like Fairy Drop, Max Elixir, your Spirit Links, Ultra Ball, just anything you need, Trainer's Mail is going to be there for you. And running 4 copies of it because this is more like a searching deck than anything. It's not something you want to draw through like crazy, and also you don't benefit from the discard pile, so I like to classify this as more of a search deck. That's why I run 4 Trainer's Mail in here. But 3 Trainer's Mail is okay too. Some decks I play, I do run 3 Trainer's Mail, but in Mega Gardevoir, you definitely want 4. Now, the rest of my items here are only 1 of copies, so I'm just gonna do them all here. 1 copy of Switch, 1 copy of Mega Turbo, 1 copy of Super Rod, got an Energy Switch, an EXP Share, and 1 copy of Battle Compressor. Now, quick little thing, Battle Compressor, once rotation, is the only card in this deck that we are going to lose, which doesn't really hurt the deck. This was just more of a tech card to get supporters in the discard, just for your VS Secret Fodder and stuff like that. But losing this doesn't really hurt. And also, if the Professor's theory is correct, and by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch our rotation review on our channel. It's very, very good, and a lot of people thought it was hilarious and very informative, so I highly recommend you check it out. But he had a theory that's saying the next set after Steam Siege, we're getting the reprint set, which is going to include Battle Compressor. So let me explain the Switch. Obvious reasons, because even though we do run ways to free retreat, it's not always going to be there, so Switch is definitely way out. Now, I have been trying out Olympia lately to see how that works, and it works okay. So if you want to switch this out for Olympia, that's fine. Again, it actually kind of works with the deck a bit because not only does it switch out, but it heals off damage, which is pretty cool. Only thing is, it is your supporter for the turn. But again, I've tried it and it's actually not bad. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the Switch. Mega Turbo is a one of, because even though you don't want Fairy Energy in the discard, it's inevitable. Fairy Energy will end up in the discard at some point of the game. And the copy of Mega Turbo is just to get it back from the discard and attach to your Mega Broski. Super Rod, about the same thing, to get back discard Fairy Energy, but also to get back your Pokemon into discard. So, Energy Switch, kind of like it's basically AROMATISSE in item form, but you can only play it once, obviously. But I found this card to be very, very helpful for me, especially in the tournaments. And I never really needed this card more than once, but when I played it, it came in handy very, very much. So, EXP share, just attached to one of your Pokemon, preferably a Xerneas bench or a Hoopa EX. So whenever one of your Pokemon gets knocked out and all the energy goes bye-bye, you can at least save one of those energies with EXP share. So, definitely some good items in this deck. They have helped me out quite a bit. Those over there. And now for our stadium lineup, I just run 3 copy of Fairy Garden. Now I know a lot of people like to run 4 copies of Fairy Garden in their Mega Gardevoir decks, which is still good, but I find this gets a little cloggy in your hand as a 4 of. That's actually why I only run Fairy Drop as a 3 of 2. Because with those 2 cards at 4, I found myself discarding at least 1 or 2 of them. Not because I wanted to, but because I had no other choice but to discard them. So this way, running 3 copies of them, it's still a good amount in the deck, and it won't get as cloggy in your hand, and you won't be forced to make it like Ultra Ball discard or discard away with a Sycamore or something like that. So I find 3 copies to work very well, but again, if you feel more comfortable with 4 copies of Fairy Garden, that is completely a-okay. And now, last but certainly not least, our energy count up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, a good amount of Fairy Energy in the deck, but even though it sounds like Mega Gardevoir, you just want to go overload with Fairy Energy like crazy, you really don't. And here's why. It's the same reason I just mentioned with it getting cloggy in your hand. So I find 9 is a good number. Anywhere between 8 and the highest I would say is 10 of these is about the range I would recommend. Anything less or anything more will just simply not work. Because having less of these in your deck obviously means you're doing less damage with your Mega Gardevoir, but also having too much of this means you're going to be discarding them a lot with either your Ultra Balls or your Sycamores, or you're not going to be able to utilize them fully because they'll be in your hand instead of the deck would say Xerneas or Max Elixir. You want these in the deck. Not too often do you want Fairy Energy in your hand. It's always going to be in the deck. Always, always, always deck. So that about does it for my Mega Gardevoir deck profile. So you can see here a very different version of Mega Gardevoir than most people are used to. But trust me guys, this deck has proven its effectiveness and it is honestly quite a bit faster than the traditional Mega Gardevoir build, which is super important because speed is everything. Especially, I believe, in the next format to come. Speed is just going to be super important. And I think next set, which is coming out and not too far from now, it's getting more support. So the deck is going to be even stronger. And once again, guys, I cannot stress this enough. AROMATISSE is now obsolete. Trust me on this, guys. So anyway, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Now guys, we have just recently hit 38,000 and my mind is blown. I never would have thought we would have gotten this far in this amount of time. You have no idea just how grateful we are to every single one of you guys out there who supports us, and just you guys, you have no idea how much the world you mean to us. And honestly, now we wait till tomorrow and we see how Mega Broski deals with the powerful Mega Raqib deck piloted by Professor K. Now, that's actually going to be a tough battle because as fast as this deck is, Mega Raqib is faster, but honestly, this has done me some surprise things against matches not only in the tournament, but online as well, so we'll just have to see for tomorrow, so you're not going to want to miss it. Mega Broski takes on the Sky Dragon himself, so stay tuned for that. This has been Ed with the Pokemon Evolutionaries, and I will catch you players later.